तस्य ज्ञानं जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much for joining. We'll continue our reading of the teachings of Queen Kunti. We are on chapter 7 and we'll try completing this chapter today. So, would someone like to read this paragraph starting with "This is very significant"?
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I?
Yes, Mataji, please.
1 second, Mataji. This is a very significant. We may have many enemies who have been very powerful fighters, but if we remain under the protection of Krishna, no one can do us any harm. Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake. He whom Krishna protects, no one can kill. But if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can give him protection. For example, suppose a very rich man is suffering from disease. He may have a first class physician, medicine, and hospital available for him, but still he may die. This means that Krishna desired this man must die. Therefore, the so called productivity methods we have deserved will be useless if Krishna does not desire us to live. The demon Ravana was very powerful, but when Krishna, in the form of Lord Ramachandra, desired to kill him, no one could protect him. Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva and was praying to Lord Shiva, please come save me for this danger. But Lord Shiva did not come. Then Parvati, Lord Shiva's wife, asked Lord Shiva, what is this? He is such a great devotee and has saved you so much, and now he is in danger and he is asking your help. Why are you not going to help him? Then Lord Shiva replied, my dear Parvati, what shall I do? I cannot give him protection. It is not possible. What shall I go? What shall I go? Well, why shall I go? Sorry. Therefore, if God wants to kill someone, no one can give him protection. And if God wants to protect someone, no one can kill him. Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rakeke.
Hare
That's
Krishna.
good.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hari Bol. So here, a very important point being highlighted by Srila Prabhupada, that if Krishna is there to protect someone, then nobody can harm such a devotee. And if, on the other hand, if Krishna wants someone dead, then there is no one who can save such a person. And a very famous example of Ravana is given here, that when Lord Krishna, in the form of Lord Ramachandra, is there and they are having a fight, even though Ravana is such a great devotee of Lord Shiva, Ravana himself is very powerful. Still, nobody can protect him. Even Lord Shiva does not come to protect him because Ravana is going against Lord Shiva's Lord, that is Lord Krishna, Lord Ram. And also the example of Hiranyakashipu, who was so powerful. And through his tapasya, he had so many boons from Brahmaji also. But when Lord comes as Lord Narsimhadev, there is no way Hiranyakashipu can be saved. The Lord finds a way out with, satisfying all the conditions of Brahmaji's boon also. Still, because he wants Hiranyakashipu dead, so Hiranyakashipu dies. But, so this is very important to understand that devotees have this deep faith of the Lord's protection. And the Lord is always there for the protection of the devotees also. But it is important to understand that this protection doesn't just mean that it has to be physical protection, because we do see that there are, devotees, very, very pure devotees, who are undergoing some physical problems, or sometimes they fall ill. Some devotees meet with accidents. Some devotees have other kind of problems. So some people, they question that what are you getting by devotion to Krishna? What are you getting by your bhakti? See, this happened to you, that happened to you. I'm sure you may have heard such things in your life also, that what is the point of doing bhakti when you are having so many problems? So it is very important to understand that when we talk about protection from of Krishna, what is this protection actually? It's not necessarily physical protection. Sometimes Krishna gives physical protection, sometimes he may not. But even if he's not giving physical protection, there is always some reason behind it. There is a difference between the suffering that a normal materialist is going through, a suffering that a practicing devotee is going through, and a suffering that a pure devotee is going through. So there are three categories devotees explain. So when a normal materialist is going through suffering, that's just their karma. They have to suffer because of what they have done. When a practicing devotee who is really dedicated in the service of Krishna, when they are going through some service, this is the Lord's way of finishing up their karma. And devotees explain that Krishna just gives a token reaction so that those karmas which have been done, they are removed. And also, Krishna keeps the quantity of suffering very regulated. It is enough to keep the devotee on the path of bhakti, and it is not so much that the devotee will just fall out of the path. So that is how much suffering a practicing sincere sadhaka gets. And when pure devotees are getting suffering, it is because Krishna wants them glorified. Like Bhishma Dev's example, right? Krishna just wants them glorified. Or Prahlad Maharaj also went through so many sufferings. But now, when the world talks about Prahlad Maharaj, uh, the world talks that how even through those sufferings, Prahlad did not give up his faith. So he's glorified. And also sometimes through the sufferings of devotees, Krishna is teaching others a lesson also. So it is all, we have to be very careful. We should not judge that, oh, that person is such a pure devotee and still they're going through that suffering. That means bhakti doesn't work. We should not judge like this, because what is going on between the Lord and his devotees is something very mystical, and it's not possible for common people to understand. And when we talk about suffering, or the protection that Krishna provides, there are so many different examples in our scriptures. One very shining example is what Kunti Devi is mentioning in this verse itself, that when Draupadi ji was being humiliated in the assembly, how Krishna supplies the endless cloth. And then also in Mahabharat war, Krishna breaks his vow that he's not going to lift any weapon, right? He had taken a vow that one side will have him and the other side will have his Narayani Sena. And he had said that I'm not going to lift any weapon. But when the battle between Bhishma Dev and Arjuna became very, very fierce on one particular day, Krishna breaks his vow and he takes up a chariot wheel in the battle, right? And that is so beautiful because through this particular pastime, what is Krishna doing? He is giving protection to Arjuna also. And Bhishma Dev had said that he will make Krishna break his vow. So he's also keeping Bhishma's word, who's also a very great devotee, and he is also saving Arjuna. Right? So when Arjuna's chariot was broken by Bhishma Dev, Krishna picked up a wheel from the broken chariot and he rushed towards Bhishma. So I'm sure you have seen that beautiful painting. And in that painting, what is Bhishma Dev doing? He's not going to fight Krishna. He's just standing surrendered. Right. So that is such a beautiful reciprocation that the Lord has with his devotees. With one pastime, he's showing reciprocation towards Arjuna also as well as Bhishma Dev. And of course, when we talk about protection that Krishna provides, how can we not talk about Prahlad Maharaj? I mean, Prahlad Maharaj, just a 5-year-old boy, but with such deep faith towards Lord Krishna. And he is staying in such a difficult situation with his demoniac father, Hiranyakashipu. And when Prahlad Maharaj was thrown off a cliff or attacked by animals or trying to be poisoned, burnt, he was not harmed and he remained fearless because of his devotion. So that is the reciprocation of Krishna. Also, in more recent times, we have the example of Mirabai, right? The great devotee poetess Mirabai. She was given a poison to drink by her family, and she was fearless. She drank it fearlessly, chanting Krishna's name, and the poison had no effect on her. So, in this way, we see Krishna uh, protects devotees from physical harm also. And then, in the case of the Brajvasis, when he is protecting them from a natural disaster, when Indra is trying to submerge the whole of Braj Dham in the waters of devastation. So, Krishna protected the cowherds of Vrindavan from the wrath of Indradev. And when the torrential rainstorm is there to flood the land, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill and he held it over the village as an umbrella, protecting everyone underneath it. Okay, so Krishna is there to protect against this kind of disaster also, and also when Kalia was poisoning the waters of Yamuna, Krishna defeated Kalia and forced him to leave that territory so that there was no danger to the residents of Braj. And I just remember when these two pastimes are being discussed, His Grace Amrendra Prabhu says something very sweet that we don't believe in Krishna's supremacy because we don't have faith. Normal people don't believe in Krishna's supremacy because of lack of faith. And the Brajvasis, they don't want to think of Krishna's supremacy because of too much love. So their love for Krishna is so much that they don't want to think of Krishna as God or, in that mood of awe and reverence. And Prabhu was saying that when Krishna is when Krishna lifts the earth as Varahadev, there are a lot of stutis being sung. Right, for his in his glorification. But when Krishna lifts the Govardhan hill, there are no stutis being sung. Rather, they are all just concerned about Krishna that, oh, Mother Yashoda is thinking, oh, my child is lifting Govardhan hill, my child is not eating anything. His friends are thinking, oh, our friend is lifting the hill, let's help him. And they put their sticks up Govardhan hill. And when he defeats Kalia and he comes out of the Yamuna river, they're all like, with cloth that, oh, Krishna must be feeling cold, let's protect him. So their mood is so sweet, and that's the reciprocation Krishna gives with his devotees. So it was just so sweet, so I thought of mentioning it here. So that's the protection Krishna gives from natural disasters. Also, when we see Draupadi ji's case, Krishna is protecting her from humiliation and insult, right? And he responds by manifesting an endless supply of saris. So this pastime keeps coming up again and again because we are talking about how Krishna gives protection. That's what Kunti Maharani is also mentioning in this verse, right? And when we talk about Draupadi ji, there is another very beautiful pastime. That's a story from Mahabharat, and this story is also very sweet, and it shows that what all Krishna does because of love for his devotees. So this I had heard this in a lecture by Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji. I have not read it in any book. I have not read the Mahabharat, but I have heard it in Mataji's lecture. And in this lecture, this is where the war of Kurukshetra, Mahabharat war, is in full flow. And through this story, we see Draupadi ji's demonstration of profound devotion and humility, and the Lord's love for, to what extent, to what lengths he is willing to go to protect and serve his devotees. It's a very beautiful story. So, in we know that in the war, the Pandavas, they were very powerful, but Bhishma Pitama is on the other side. So there were times when the Pandavas were facing great difficulty due to the power and the blessings that Bhishma Pitama had, because Bhishma had the boon that he had Ichamrityu, right? He could choose the time of his death. So that made him nearly invincible. So there was a point when Draupadi ji is very fearful for the lives of her husband. So obviously, when the devotee is in trouble, where will she go? She turns to Krishna for guidance. And Krishna devised a plan. He told Draupadi ji that you go to Bhishma Dev at night, when the night it's dark, you go take blessings from him. And seeing that, you're a married woman, spontaneously he will give you the blessing of Sabhagyavati Bhava. That may you have many years of married life. Dirgha Sumangali Bhava. That kind of a blessing. So he said, don't show your face. He should just see that this is a married woman seeking his blessings. And then when he gives you the blessing of Dirgha Sumangali Bhava, from an elder when you get this blessing. So, this would ensure that your husbands will be protected, and this will effectively neutralize Bhishma's ability to kill them in the battle. So, to ensure that the plan worked without alerting Bhishma of their arrival, Krishna made a crucial symbolic gesture. So, as they approached the tent, the noise of Draupadi's footwear could be heard. So then what does Krishna do? Krishna, in his concern for his devotee, he takes her slippers and he wraps them in a piece of cloth to muffle the sound. Also, if she removes the slippers in front of Bhishma Dev's tent and Bhishma Dev sees the slippers, then he might guess that they look royal. They look like royal slippers. So maybe this is Draupadi who has come. But Krishna did not want that to be revealed. So where is he hiding her slippers? He's hiding her slippers in a cloth. He's holding her slippers. I mean, can we just imagine that scene, the Supreme Lord doing something like this? And then, as planned, Draupadi ji goes and she asks for blessings, and Bhishma gives the blessing of Sumangali Bhava, Sabhagyavati Bhava. And then, when he sees that this is actually Draupadi, he's also surprised and he realizes the depth of Krishna's plan. And when he saw Krishna standing outside the tent holding the wrapped bundle, he asked what it was. And Krishna revealed the bundle that it was Draupadi's sandals. So at this point, Bhishma becomes really overcome with emotion. And he says, Oh Lord, what will you not do for your devotees? And he tells Draupadi that when you have Krishna with you, what fear do you have for the lives of your husbands? So, this act emphasized that for the sake of his devotees, Krishna does not consider any task. Uh, he doesn't even hesitate in carrying their footwear, which is beneath his dignity, right? Nobody wants to carry anybody else's slippers, no? But Krishna is there doing that for his pure devotee. So this really reinforces the special relationship which Lord Krishna had with Draupadi ji, and this is characterized by deep friendship and complete surrender. So this is one incident. There are so many such incidents where the Lord comes and gives protection to his devotees. Another very wonderful example is of Haridas Thakur. Krishna protected Haridas Thakur when he was called, he was summoned to the Nawab's court because he was a Muslim. Why was he chanting Krishna's names? And he said that I am willing to get my body totally cut into pieces, but I am not going to give up chanting of the holy names. So this comes very in great detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and the Nawab is asking him that you are a Mohammedan, you have such a wonderful birth. Why are you taking this name? And Haridas Thakur really reasons with him, explains to him that this is the same Lord. I mean, I am also worshipping the same Lord that you are worshipping. And he doesn't agree to stop chanting, and that's why he was summoned to be beaten in 22 marketplaces. And the soldiers got tired. They said that no one can survive such beating. But Haridas Thakur remained alive because the name of Krishna is non different than Krishna himself. Haridas Thakur was constantly chanting, and Krishna was personally protecting Haridas Thakur. Lord Chaitanya actually protected Haridas Thakur from the beating by shielding him with his own body. Although Haridas Thakur did not initially know this was happening because he was so absorbed in the chanting of the holy names, but Lord Chaitanya, intending to protect his devotee, actually he appeared with his Sudarshan Chakra, but he was unable to use it because Haridas Thakur, he even had compassion towards the tormentors. So then later Lord Chaitanya revealed the marks of, from the beating on his own back, showing Haridas Thakur the extent of his protection. So during the brutal whipping at the behest of the Qazi, Haridas Thakur was chanting the holy names, and he was not aware of the physical violence he was enduring. In fact, when the people who were beating him, the tormentors, they told him that we will be, we will get into trouble if you don't die. And that's when Haridas Thakur kind of faints and they throw him in the river, but he doesn't die. He comes back, right? So he has so much compassion even on the aggressors. Okay, and that is just inconceivable. And that is the love a devotee has for everyone. And that is the love the Lord has for his devotees because he's shielding Haridas Thakur's body with his own. And the marks then came on the Lord's body. And despite being whipped in 22 marketplaces, which was a punishment that should have proved fatal for any normal people, even after beating through a few marketplaces, anybody would have died. But even after 22 marketplaces, Haridas Thakur miraculously survived because of his faith in Lord Chaitanya and the grace that Lord Chaitanya gives on him. So this comes very in great detail in the Adi Khanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Chaitanya Charitamrit also references this event, but does not describe the specific details or verses where Lord Chaitanya directly intervenes. But this is given in great detail in Chaitanya Bhagavat. The Adi section in 1691, that's where we hear that the Qazi orders Haridas Thakur to be flogged publicly in 22 marketplaces until dead. And 16.102, it is mentioned that Haridas Thakur remembered the Lord by chanting Krishna Krishna and did not feel any bodily inconvenience. Okay. He actually says that even if my body is cut into several pieces and I lose my life as a result, yet I shall not give up the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So these narratives explain that Haridas Thakur was completely immune to all the atrocity that was being inflicted upon him, all the suffering because of his complete absorption in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And this was a result of Krishna's direct mercy, right? And he did not die even after the severe beating. So then the guards were really convinced of his spiritual power because even after so much of beating, there was nothing that happened. I mean, Haridas Thakur did not die. And this is the promise Krishna gives in Gita also, right? This verse we discussed last week also, where Krishna makes a direct promise to Arjuna that Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. O Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So this promise is a core principle of his protection for his devotees. So this paragraph was talking very beautifully about this. Now, the next paragraph is just two lines, so we'll read the next paragraph and the one after that together, and then we'll discuss. Lalita Vinodini Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thus, Kunti is remembering how Krishna saved her and her sons one time after another. This is Maranam, thinking of Krishna. Krishna, you're so kind to us that you saved us from many great dangers. Without you, there was no hope. Then the last danger was Drauni Astra, the weapon of Ashwatthama, the son of Drona. Ashwatthama performed a most abominable act by killing the five sons of the Pandavas. Of course, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, both sides belonged to the same family, and practically everyone was killed. But the five sons of the Pandavas survived. So Ashwatthama thought, if I kill these five sons of the Pandavas and present their heads to Duryodhana, he will be very much pleased. Therefore, when the five sons were sleeping, he severed their heads, which he then presented to Duryodhana. At that time, Duryodhana was incapacitated. His spine was broken and he could not move. Ashwatthama said, I have brought the five heads of the Pandavas, my dear Duryodhana. At first, Duryodhana was very glad, but he knew how to test the heads to see whether they were in fact the heads of the Pandavas. When he pressed the head collapsed. And Duryodhana said, "Oh, there are not the heads of these are not the heads of the Pandavas. They must be the heads of their sons." When Ashwatthama admitted that this was so, Duryodhana fainted, and when he revived, he said, "You have killed all our hopes. I had hoped that in our family at least these five sons would survive, but now you have killed them." Thus, in lamentation, he died. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, Prabhupada is explaining that this is Smaranam, how Kunti Devi is thinking of how Lord Krishna has saved her and her sons one time after another. And this Smaranam, I mean, this is the first of the nine processes of devotional service. And it is so very important to really, I mean, as a devotional service, definitely we have to think of Krishna all the time. We have to focus on Smaranam, and we also have to be very conscious that what are those things that we are keeping in our remembrance? What are those things that are coming in our mind again and again? Because whatever we are thinking of again and again, that is making a very lasting impression in our minds. Right? When we do our studies, also, that's why we were told not to read again and again, then those things really become very deep rooted in our mind. So we have to be very conscious. Sometimes what happens is that any any bitter events of the past, our mind, the natural tendency is that we keep thinking about it again and again, and by doing that we are not letting that wound heal. So we have to be very conscious. Now, when we are on the path of bhakti, we are sadhakas, we are told the importance of smaranam. So, smaranam of Krishna is so very important because when we keep doing that and again and again, then that smaranam becomes continuous. Then we are always thinking of Krishna, because initially it is like a practice. We have to remind ourselves to think of Krishna. It doesn't come naturally in the beginning. So that is why we have so many services, we have the books, we have the bhajans, we have the sevas, so that we are reminded of Krishna again and again. And then with a lot of practice, it becomes continuous. Like the gopis, no? They were telling that, what are you telling us about thinking of Krishna? We cannot, there is no moment where we cannot think of Krishna. So that's how Smaranam, when it becomes very strong, it becomes continuous. So that is the positive aspect we have to focus on. And the other thing is to remove the negative aspect, which means we have to clear our mind of all the negative things that we keep thinking of again and again, because that is just holding up the space in our mind. Actually, in his famous Sherlock Holmes novels, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, very famous writer, uh, there is one part where he writes that Sherlock Holmes did not know something about a very common day-to-day thing. And Dr. Watson asks Sherlock that you are so intelligent, you know so much about so many things, about science, about philosophy and human behavior and everything. How come you don't know this small common thing? And then Sherlock Holmes tells him that the mind is like a room. So we have to be very conscious of what furniture we put in that room. So I have put the things in my mind which I need in my work, and other things I don't care about. So, in the same way, we have to understand that our mind will have a limited space, right? If we are filling it with all negative things of what happened to us in the past, who hurt us, what problems came, and all that. If we just keep that as, something that hurt me, then it is not really serving any purpose. Rather, what Kunti Marani is doing, she remembers all those things, but she is linking that with Krishna's protection. She's not sitting and crying, "Oh, this happened. My husband died, and we were not taken care of, and my children were harmed, and all." She's not crying. Rather, she is telling Krishna that through all these calamities, Krishna, you saved us. So, as sadhakas, we have to be very conscious of what we are filling our minds with. Then, in the next para, it's the heinous act of Ashwathama mentioned, where he kills the five sons of Draupadi when they were sleeping. And this comes in in Srimad Bhagavatam in the seventh chapter of the first canto, where the title is "Son of Drona Punished." And where we hear that, where we read that when the sons of Draupadi were sleeping, he comes and kills them, and he takes the heads with him, and he approaches Duryodhana, and he presents the five sons, five heads to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, uh, he when he thinks that these are the heads of the Pandavas, he's kind of happy, but he decides to test the heads. And when pressed, the heads collapsed. So this means that they were not the heads of the Pandavas. And this, I mean, even though Duryodhan was very evil-minded himself, this heinous act of Ashwathama even disgusts Duryodhan, and he laments deeply. And he tells Ashwathama that he has destroyed their last hope. Overcome with grief, like Prabhupada also mentions in the purport, Duryodhan faints, and soon after he dies. So this is the section which is coming here also. So it's from the Bhagavatam. And this also comes in Mahabharat in Sauptika Parva, chapter 7 to 8, where Ashwathama decides to attack the Pandava camp at night. And then he enters the camp silently, and he kills the five sons of Draupadi, and he takes their severed heads to Duryodhana. Duryodhana also, again, there also it is mentioned that Duryodhana heads he tests the heads, and then they crumble. So he realizes that these are not the sons of Kunti. These are not the Pandavas. And he also, there also it is mentioned that these sons were the future of our race. You have killed our last hope, and Duryodhan dies. And then in the Stri Parva, which comes later, the aftermath, that is lamentation by the women, especially Draupadi, reaction of the Pandavas, Arjuna's vow to punish Ashwathama, his pursuit of Ashwathama, that entire section comes. So this here, this is another big calamity that Kunti Maharani is mentioning, and we can understand what a heinous act this was, because, as I mentioned, even Duryodhana is disgusted by this act of Ashwathama. So now in the next paragraph, we'll read what happened after that. So anyone wants to read? Yeah, Shobha Mataji,
Hare
next
Krishna,
paragraph.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji Sampavati, Srila Prabhupada. Subsequently, Arjuna arrested Ashwatthama and was going to kill him. In fact, Krishna ordered, kill him. He is not a Brahmana. He is less than a Shudra. But then Draupadi said, I am suffering because of the death of my sons. And this rascal is the son of Guru Maharaja Dronacharya, who has done so much for us. If Ashwatthama dies, then Dronacharya's wife, our Mother Guru, will be very much unhappy. So release him and let him go away. Thus, Arjuna freed Ashwatthama. But then Ashwatthama, having been insulted, retaliated by unleashing a Brahmastra. The Brahmastra is something like a nuclear weapon. It can go to the enemy wherever he is and kill him. Ashwatthama knew the last descendant of the Kuru family is Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu. He is in the womb of Uttara. So let me kill him also, and then the entire dynasty will be finished. Should I continue?
Okay, Mataji, you can complete the last
When
section.
that weapon was unleashed, Parikshit Maharaja's mother, Uttara, felt that she was going to have a miscarriage, and therefore she approached Krishna saying, please save me, Krishna. by his mystic power, therefore entered the womb of Uttara and saved the child. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Parikshit Maharaja, who was still in the womb of his mother, was the last remaining descendant of the Pandavas, and in mature time, when he was born, only my grandfathers were still alive. Parikshit Maharaja was the son of Abhimanyu, who was the son of Arjuna and Subhadra, Krishna's sister. When Abhimanyu was 16 years old, he went to fight, and seven great commanders joined forces to kill him. Subhadra had only one grandchild, Parikshit Maharaja. As soon as he grew up, the entire estate of the Pandavas was entrusted to him, and all the Pandavas left home and went to the Himalayas. This history is described in the Mahabharata. Many great misfortunes befell the Pandavas, but in all circumstances, they simply depended on Krishna, who always saved them. Kunti's response to their misfortunes is recorded in the next verse. Haribol. Thank you, Mataji. Dandavad. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Dhanvats. So here, after Ashwatthama's heinous act, what happens is that Arjuna obviously wants to catch hold of Ashwathama, and then he takes a vow actually. When he learned that Ashwathama has, you know, caused this, this great, he has done this great atrocity. He swore before Draupadi that I will punish Ashwathama. I will bring him in like an animal bound in ropes. So obviously we can understand the situation there. This was after the Kurukshetra war. So many people on both sides had died, right? The Pandavas had lost many loved ones. Although they had emerged victorious, the night of the Saptika Parva brought the most heartbreaking blow. And this was the night when Ashwathama, the son of Drona, entered the Pandava camp at night and killed the five sleeping sons. So Arjuna, he mounted on his chariot with Krishna as his driver, and he pursued Ashwathama, who in desperation, uh, he again at this point also, he releases the Brahmastra, and then Arjuna countered it with another Brahmastra, and with Krishna's guidance, he neutralized the danger at that point. Then Ashwathama was captured and he was tied, he was humiliated, and as promised, Arjuna drags him in front of Draupadi. When Draupadi saw Ashwathama, he was bloodied, he was bound, he was defeated, and her heart softened. I mean, it's inconceivable. How can her mother, who has just lost five children, feel some, kind of an emotion where she is able to forgive. She's having this emotion of mercy towards Ashwathama, and this shows what a great level of devotion she had, because only a pure devotee can have so much mercy in her heart. And she says to Arjuna, this comes in Shrimad Bhagavatam 1:742 to 43, where she says that, oh Arjuna, do not cause the wife of Drona to cry the way I cry for my sons. I am suffering the loss of my children. Let not another mother suffer such grief. Because any common person would just think of revenge, but she, with so much devotion in her heart, she can think of forgiving Ashwathama. She says that Drona was our guru. How can we bring pain into the family of our teacher? A Brahmana's wife must never be made to cry. So her compassion actually astonishes everyone who was present there. And then Bhima is he's very angry because now she wants to forgive Ashwathama, and the whole party of the Pandavas, they are divided because Bhima is very angry. He says he must die. He killed our sleeping children. There is no greater sin. Yudhishthira Maharaj said Draupadi is a saintly woman, yet justice must be maintained. Nakula and Sadev supported Draupadi. So now Arjuna, he's silent at this point. He's torn between Draupadi's forgiveness, his brother's demand for justice, his own vow to punish Ashwathama, and his promise always to follow Krishna. So then all eyes naturally turn towards Lord Krishna. And Krishna gives a very subtle guidance that does not speak, Krishna does not speak very loudly, but he guided Arjuna from within and without. And he says, Arjuna, you must satisfy both compassion and justice. A murderer must be punished, yet Draupadi must not be displeased. So, this is the brilliance of Krishna's instruction. He leads Arjuna to a solution that fulfills all dharmas simultaneously. And then you know what Arjuna does, right? He does not kill Ashwatthama, but he fulfills Draupadi's wish. I mean, doesn't kill, this is, he fulfills Draupadi's wish by not killing, but he cut off Ashwatthama's jewel, a money that he had on his forehead, which was a source of his power, and he banished him from society, dishonored, disgraced, and powerless. So, in this way, he fulfilled his vow because he did punish Ashwathama. He fulfilled Krishna's instruction. He fulfilled Bhima's demand for justice because this was a severe punishment. And he spared his life in this way. He fulfilled Draupadi's request also. So, this act really was. It was really praised by the sages as the perfect balance of justice and mercy. And Srila Prabhupada, in his commentary, in the purports and his lectures, he says that Draupadi's compassion shows her Vaishnava character. And Prabhupada repeatedly says that a Vaishnava is always compassionate, even to the greatest enemy. Even though Ashwathama killed her sleeping sons, Draupadi's first thought was for another mother's suffering. So Prabhupada says that this is the difference between a devotee and a demon. A devotee never takes satisfaction in another's suffering. So she forgives him not because he deserved it, but she forgives him because she is so pure. And Prabhupada writes that Draupadi was not a woman of ordinary standard. Her heart was always softened by the qualities of a Vaishnava. And this comes naturally. When a devotee is practicing bhakti very sincerely, the devotee does not have to, does not have to inculcate this quality of soft heartedness. They don't have to do anything special. It just naturally comes. This is something that just naturally comes to a devotee when they are on the path of bhakti. And a very wonderful example comes to my mind, and it's very relevant for this time because it's a book marathon time, right? How a devotee's heart is transformed by Krishna's bhakti. And this is a true incident. His Grace Amog Leela Prabhu narrated this once that there was a boy, a college going boy, who used to come to the Dwarka temple. And he was nice. He used to come, he used to attend lectures, chant, but he had one problem that he was very short tempered. He would get very angry very fast. So once, after being in bhakti for some time, I think it had been 6 months or 7 months, something like that, where he was coming to temple regularly, chanting, attending programs. And then came December, where he was also distributing Bhagavad Gita with the other devotees in Delhi. And one person on a bike, he came and he felt very envious towards the devotees. He had a lot of negativity for some reason, and he came and he pushed this boy with his leg. So this boy who used to be very short tempered, he was this devotee boy, he was pushed, he fell down, the books fell, and the people around, there were many people around, they saw what this person on the bike did. So they caught him and brought him to this boy. And this boy just said, it's okay, let it be, let him go. And when this devotee boy came back, he cried a lot because he was thinking that if this had happened earlier, if it was the earlier me, I would have thrashed that guy on the bike. I would have hit him badly. I would have fought with him. And now see the power of the devotion of Krishna through the chanting of the holy names, association of devotees. He did not feel angry. He just said, it's okay, let him go. So he was crying that what transformation bhakti has brought on his whole consciousness. So, like Prabhupada is saying that Draupadi is not an ordinary woman. Apart from motherhood, she saw wife of a guru. She saw what will happen to the mother of a brahmana. So Prabhupada says that this is real culture, seeing all beings spiritually. And we should not think that these are all just imagination, that you chant Hare Krishna, this transformation will come in your personality. We see in our day-to-day examples also, like this story of this devotee in Delhi. The holy name will have an impact. And my father, he says that uh, our basic nature, it doesn't change. Nobody can change our basic nature. Our basic nature can only change by chanting of Krishna's names. So he was telling me this because there was some problem in the family, and we were discussing this, and he said that if you really want someone to change, you have to request them to chant. Only if they start chanting can their nature change. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get over all these conditionings. So that is how powerful Krishna's bhakti is, that through chanting, really wonders happen, and our heart actually becomes so soft. And Krishna's role also is so significant because he wanted Arjuna to follow both dharma and compassion. So Prabhupada explains that Krishna intentionally creates situations sometimes in a devotee's life where justice, compassion, vows, dharma, personal emotions, they all collide so that his devotee grows spiritually. So he says that Arjuna was placed in a puzzle so that Krishna could show how a devotee must think deeply before acting. And Arjuna's action is really very glorious. And this punishment, it's not that Ashwathama was not punished, because that would also be wrong, no? Because he had done something very heinous, so he should also be punished. And actually, the punishment that he underwent was worse than death, because Prabhupada says that for a Kshatriya or a Brahmana, dishonor is worse than death. And by removing his jewel and banishing him, Arjuna ensured that no one would shelter him, no one would, no one would give any respect to him. He would also live in shame. He will, all his powers will be gone. His prestige was lost. So thus Arjuna, obeyed Krishna also, and he honored Draupadi also. So this incident shows that a devotee should be more tolerant than a tree and more humble than a blade of grass. And Draupadi ji really embodies this shloka because her heart was filled with devotion, and that is why she was able to forgive Ashwathama for what he had done. So Prabhupada says that this is the standard of a Vaishnava, not that one forgives only when the offender deserves it. A Vaishnava forgives because he sees every living being as a part of Krishna. Okay, so this whole incident really gives us insight into how deep Draupadi ji's love and devotion is, because she's a powerful example of maternal love, saintly compassion, respect for Guru, balance of dharma, and also Krishna guided decision making. So Prabhupada says that this is a lesson of how a true devotee behaves. And in Prabhupada's own life, we see, you all know of the struggle Prabhupada went through for procuring the land where we now have ISKCON Juhu. It was a big struggle. You can read His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj's book, I Will Build You a Temple, because Maharaj was there. He was in the middle of all the action. So he has given all the details in this book. Now, when there was a point when Mr. Nair dies, the person who had done so many wrong things, he dies, and then his wife is speaking to Prabhupada and she's crying. And at this point, Prabhupada has no ill feelings towards her also. He says that, don't worry, you are like my daughter, you will be taken care of. I mean, anyone would be angry with the whole family, right, of a person who has done something like this. But Prabhupada, he is not angry. He did everything that was needed. He was very street smart that way. He did everything that was required, but he was not angry after that also. And then the last paragraph of this chapter, where we are reading that Parikshit Maharaj is in the womb of Mother Uttara, and Ashwathama again, he has the Brahmastra. He wants to kill Parikshit Maharaj, and Uttaraji goes to Lord Krishna, and he prays. She goes to Lord Krishna, and she's asking for protection. So Parikshit Maharaj was the son of Abhimanyu ji and Uttara, and Abhimanyu also was killed very wrongfully in the battle, right? He was trapped in the Chakravyu, and he was very young, but the side of the Kauravas, they had no kindness, so they killed him. And now the last surviving heir of the Kuru dynasty and the future listener of Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, is there in the womb of Mother Uttara. And Ashwathama, he released the Brahmastra because obviously he was humiliated by Arjuna. So he targeted specifically to kill the last heir of the Pandavas who was still alive. and the weapon penetrated the womb. It could burn the embryo. And terrified, Uttara Devi rushes to Lord Krishna. And this comes in Srimad Bhagavatam 189, where she says, "Oh Krishna, save my child. You alone can protect us from this weapon." And she offered herself to be killed and her child to survive. And Krishna smiles gently and he said, "My dear princess, do not fear. I shall protect your child." So Krishna personally entered the womb, right? Krishna could have saved the embryo from outside also, but he personally entered the womb in a very radiant, four-armed form, holding his weapons, his Sudarshan Chakra, his Kaumudaki Gada, Panchajanya Shankha, and the Padma. And he stood as a shield between the Brahmastra and the baby. So the Brahmastra could not burn the divine form of Krishna, who absorbed all its power and extinguished it completely. And because of this miraculous event, the unborn child later acquired the name of Parikshit, because Parikshit means that one who forever examines and searches for that divine form that he saw before birth. So he was thus protected by Krishna's personal intervention. So Krishna is saving the child before he's born, and also later in Parikshit Maharaj's life um, when he is cursed to die, then Krishna orchestrates this whole, speaking of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So he through Parikshit Maharaj, the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken, and because he was meant to hear Srimad Bhagavatam to enlighten the world, so Krishna preserved the lineage of spiritual knowledge also, and through we can see the Lord protects the devotees not only for their sake, but for the sake of all humanity. If Parikshit Maharaj had died then Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been spoken, right? So he gives protection to Parikshit Maharaj in the womb and also later by making him hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And through Parikshit Maharaj, Srimad Bhagavatam comes for all of humanity. So we see through these prayers that Kunti Maharani is offering through the section that we read today, that how Lord Krishna is always there to offer protection to his devotees. Okay, so we stop here. Any questions, any comments, anything you want to share?
Hare Krishna Mataji, that Bhagavan Krishna carrying the
Slippers.
sandals, slippers. It's so
Yes,
much
Mataji.
touching, Mataji. Never heard about this, and
Yes.
really, Krishna Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan, he goes so deep for his devotees, and we sometimes, especially me, I would say, sometimes we get angry, sometimes we have some emotions if something goes wrong. So how
Yes.
much we have to be humble, how much we have to practice where we are nothing. That was really touching, and thanks for sharing this. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
thanks to great devotees, Mataji. I had the same emotion when I first heard this story. And you can
Mm,
imagine hearing it from Nitai Sevni Mataji.
yeah.
It was really just, yeah, it just touched my heart so much. And that's why I thought I'll share it today. It's so beautiful, just so beautiful. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. So thank you all so much for your patient hearing. Yes, Mataji, you want to say something? Sumangala Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji,
yes.
first of all, wonderful class, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. I'm so grateful to you. Mataji, actually, it's from so many days, that doubt is still in my mind, Mataji. When you said it in the class, like the devotees are very compassionate, Mataji. They can't see the
Mhm.
other soul suffering. But there are people like who do not take to chanting when we ask them to do so. Um, we are also in a fear, Mataji. We are compassionate that we want to give this Harinam to them. So, but they do not know that they are not in a stage like where to accept
They
the
can take it.
philosophy and the dangers that I mean
Mm.
to not to offend. So they are not in. I mean, somehow let them chant, make them chant Hare Krishna. So we are in
Mm.
that. What to say, Mataji? What to say? We are in that experiment, Mataji. At least if they say once or twice, it will benefit them. But
Mm.
so how to do that, Mataji? How to give them Krishna consciousness, Mataji? We want to, but we are
Mm.
also scared, like how to proceed. So if they
Yes.
offend us, that will
Mm-hmm.
never allow us to allow them to take further Harinam also.
Mm-hmm.
So So I'm in a very fixed Mataji, like state. So how to Mataji guide me, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Mataji, actually, I'm also very inexperienced. And yes, we have this problem, especially now when we try to distribute books. People sometimes talk very, with a lot of insulting manner also. And they're just not willing to listen to anything that we are saying. But Mataji, our work is just to try. Ultimately, it's between them and the super soul. So that's what I've heard devotees say, that before we start to preach to anyone, we have to pray to the super soul that I'm going to make my effort, but it is only by your grace any change can happen. And we have to just put in our effort, Mataji, the best that we can do. And then after that, it is really up to that soul's journey, because we don't know where they are in that journey. So we cannot force anyone, and we should not force anyone. But maybe, when we talk to someone for the first time, they're not favorable. Maybe later in their life, some other devotee will come, then some other devotee, and finally they may come on the path of bhakti. So His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Maharaj, what he was saying is that when they are distributing books, they say that they just ask, can you say Gauranga once? Can you say Gauranga once? And then people, they may say Gauranga. And at least they uttered Krishna's name. And then I've also heard some devotees say that when we are trying to distribute books, we should show them pictures, that at least that way they have some vision of Krishna, so some sukriti they will get. So like, I know, Mataji, it's very difficult, especially in today's time. Some people, just yesterday we were trying to distribute Bhagavad Gitas and we were giving it as a gift, but people were very inimical, so we can't help that. But yes, we can just pray to Lord Krishna and we can do the best that we can do, but we should not become forceful, because then it will become negative. But our compassion, how can we show it? By just being there, by just making that effort. And then it is up to the Lord and up to them.
Yes, Mataji,
Okay,
conclude and
Mataji.
God guide. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. So we'll end now. The next class is about to start. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, कुंती महारानी की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री गुरु महाराज की जय।
Thank you so much,
भगवान
Mataji.
प्रेमानंद हरे। Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Mataji.
Hare Krishna.